Hello lovely people, in this video I'm going to show you how I colored this illustration that I drew most recently. So I have had a lot of jobs that I cannot share with you just yet because of course I signed an NDA and I also love to keep a secret. But I was super inspired to paint this illustration because I felt it just hit me so strongly, this idea of having your demons sitting on top of your head or leaning and weighing you down. But I also wanted to share the brighter side as well, with some fantasy illustration added. So in the beginning I just laid down my colors. This is called color mapping. So with very light washes I created the base colors, the undertones of each item on this illustration that I wanted to create, and also I wanted to have a look at the intensity of colors. So I wanted to create a background that is very mysterious and foggy, so that the demon behind the girl would just disappear into this dark fog thingy. And of course I wanted sharp details for the girl, and I also created during painting I created a window on the right hand side where she could look outside and see the beauty of life and focus on what's really important. So I found this beautiful purple, I think it's called perylene violet or perylene purple, I don't know. And then I used a bit of rose of ultramarine around the girl's face just to add some extra clarity, some extra focus around her face without being too intentional, without being too obvious, sorry. And of course I love intentional blooms, so I created lots of blooms in the background, and I tried to keep it that way, because sometimes I create blooms and then I cover it up with extra color, and that I just don't like that. So for this one I really wanted to make it this mysterious dark background that you can see. Right now I'm creating the pencil sketch for what's behind the window, which is a tiny pixie peeking in and some cherry blossoms that are going to be the same color as the background behind the girl and her demon. So if you ever just have this crazy idea of creating something similar to this, all I can say is start very light and then focus on getting sharp details for what's important, and then leave everything foggy and cloudy, and just keep it more expressive. So for the girl I went back at least 3 times to create shadows for her face and clothes, and also I took a lot of time to create the details in the window or behind the window. And I have this perylene violet that keeps reoccurring through the girl's shadows, and you can see that here, and also the flower petals shadows. So just to make sure that my painting is cohesive, I'm going to reuse and recycle the colors that I originally used. At this point I can't make up my mind whether it's really important for you to know what shadows, what shades, sorry, exactly I'm using. It's just simply because for all the artists I have followed on YouTube, there are only a few shades that I use from their recommendations. Usually I realize that most artists love granulation, while I hate it. I can't work with it. All of my paintings turn out pretty much very muddy and dark, and I really love bright and clear colors. So, of course, every now and then I have to use granulating colors. But my reason for that is simply because there is no alternative. For example, indigo is almost always granulating, and all of the greens, the browns. Well, I do have, I think, phthalo green that isn't granulating, but of course, I will gonna need more than one type of green. So yeah, that's why I really don't know whether you really do need to know the shades that I'm using, but it's really the Brilliant Violet that I mentioned already. Now I'm painting the demon with this dark indigo color, and I'm going to keep returning to that. I use a transparent umber for the desk. Right now I'm lining with a marker just to make sure that I am clear on the edges of things, and I will only mark the things around the girl. So the pixie I'm not going to, or the pixie I will actually. It's the window frame that I'm not going to, because I thought that should fall into the background. That's not as important as the faces and expressions of the girl and the pixie. And the demon is going to be aligned with a white marker. By the way, the idea of this is not on my own. I have seen about 10 or 15 years ago a quote with a drawing, and the quote said something like, you wake up, you go to bed every single day exhausted from the demons that made you so tired, and you fall asleep only to wake up again to fight those same demons again. And I have been fascinated with this idea for a very long time, because I think, especially during these times, almost every person has some kind of demons to fight off. And so throughout the years, I created a few different versions of this demon that we all fight. And I am very, very inspired to also to write a book, because now I have so many of these illustrations that could actually make up a story. Right now I'm just going to create more shadows and deepen everything at the final details, and I wasn't happy with the way this demon looked. I thought it was very ghosty and not dark enough, and it didn't really show what I wanted it to show, how it's weighing the girl's head down, that it's a heavy kind of thing. So I added a lot more indigo. I covered it up as much as I could. And of course, as it is usually with watercolors, I then realized that everything else is not deep and dark enough. So I added a few extra shadows of that Brilliant Violet, and I also made the girl's shadows more dark and contrasty. So where I thought that the shadows for, I added some extra, I think it was phthalo turquoise. It's more of like a blue kind of color. And I added some extra interest to make the paper more shadowed as well, so it's not just one surface. And of course, I still wasn't very happy with the demon. I wanted it to be super dark and super scary. Well, not scary, but dark. And then at the very end, I just realized I want him to have a reflection of the girl on its back. So I added the same phthalo green that I use for the girl's shirt to create this interesting effect. Well, I hope you like this video and thank you for watching. Bye.